Hi, this is Larry Hankin. I'm on the Mac Jackson show. It's the name of the show is It Never Gets Old, and it never does. However, I'm going to be on it. I'm going to watch it also. So tune into the Mac Jackson It Never Gets Old show.
I'm Duncan MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod.
My name is Ichabod Crane.
Name's MacGyver. Colonel Jack O'Neill, SG-1.
I am Batman!
Hello, I'm the Doctor.
So there's this man, he has a time machine. Up and down history he goes, zip, 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 getting into scrapes.
For years, and maybe more than that, right, Mac? But how long has it been? Has it been 6, 7 years ago?
Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a DeLorean?
Hey, now wait a minute. Now wait just a minute.
Human beings were not meant to sit in little cubicles staring at computer screens all day.
I've got something for you.
Oh, merci, Sonor.
Just one more thing, sir.
Oh boy.
Just like that. Bing, bang, boom.
At this point, I'd settle for the boom.
They'd love it here, don't you think?
This is what I'm saying.
And by the way, where is your podcast? Tell everybody that's here.
Welcome to the Never Gets Old podcast. The podcast of all we love in TV, movies, music, and comics. With your hosts, Mac Jackson and Nathan Shell. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Facebook, and YouTube. Donations at paypal.com, at macwjackson@comcast.net.
Listen to my chapin songs. DJ saying that they're too long. His guitar may be silenced, but his soul goes on and on. Alone again, alone again. His stories were like us, a beginning and an end. Alone again.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of the Never Gets Old podcast. I'm your host, Mac Jackson. This is the podcast of all we love in TV, movies, music, and comics, pop culture, and life. And finally, you've heard me mention Larry Hankin in the past. I got to shoot the bull with him a year ago, and now we got to finally have him on. So there he is. Hi, Larry.
Yeah. Closer and yet so far away from the first time we met. You know?
Right? Where are you right now?
I'm in Santa Monica, Marina del Rey, Venice.
Oh, okay.
California.
I was going to say LA from the time zone. And you're working,
Yeah.
right? Like currently you're doing something.
Oh, I'm always doing something.
I know.
You're talking professionally and entertainment-wise. Yes and no. What I'm doing right now is I'm writing a book about my show business life, the funny dark underbelly of Hollywood, all the screw ups and stuff, and the funny stuff, not the sincere stuff.
It's all the behind the scenes sort of
behind the scenes, screw ups when the things fall down and they blame me. Those stories, and so I'm doing that, and I also just started a business. You see these are my paintings right there. That's one, that's the other. And then I have, and I'm doing t-shirts now. See this painting right there, that's 4x8. I can't afford these paintings. They're not for sale. They're for sale on my website, which is thereallarryhankin.com, but I can't afford them. But I can afford these. These are the t-shirts.
Oh, that's neat.
It's that painting over there, but we put them on t-shirts. That I can afford. They're like, I don't know, I think $20.
That's not bad.
I don't know. It's really, but they're cool. I got 24 of them, 24 t-shirts.
Wow.
Dogs and cats and elephants and stuff.
What medium do you use for your paintings?
Well, they're actually not paintings. They're actually prints. I started out as a painter, but now what I do is I draw. See, I draw that. I drew that. Just pen and ink. and then I put them in a computer, and then I paint on a computer.
Sure. I'm welcome to my world. We do the same type of thing.
Yeah, because, well, the main thing is that on the computer, you have about a million colors, and you don't have to mix. You just pick one. So that really changed my
It's a lot cleaner.
And it's a lot cleaner, too. You don't have to clean the brushes. I mean, I used to be not an oil painter. Well, what's the other one? I haven't painted in so long. Gouache? No.
No.
No, the other one. The
acrylics.
Not the oil. What?
Acrylics?
Acrylics. Wow, man.
Yeah,
acrylics. I used to paint in acrylics, but this is so much cleaner.
Yeah, I know. I went to school for commercial art.
Oh, me too.
Right. And I was reading about you and remembering some of our conversation. I thought, boy, we kind of followed the same path where we started down art and then went into acting and, you know, entertainment. But yet the art side of us, the creative part, never leaves us.
Well, to me, yes, definitely. I mean, I don't know about other people, but I agree with you. But the other thing is because of dyslexia, I mean, it's very hard for me to change to something else because of the confinements of my challenges mentally. It's a learning challenge. Not that I'm slow.
No,
it's just that I interpret things in several ways instead of just one way.
Sure.
And that's the artistic thing, you know, choices. But commercially and in business, it's very kind of difficult, you know.
Well, yeah, it's a little harder to adapt, I would say.
Yeah, you know, and then so consequently, this book that I'm writing about me in showbiz, I think it's, you know, something like, I don't want to tell you the title. Somebody
right.
But it's that the dyslexia with the general all actors go up on their lines, all that, the combination just became funnier and funnier as I got more and more bigger and bigger jobs because the three choices, you know, and then blah, 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 and then learning lines, which is very difficult.
Yeah.
I'm okay with small stuff, but the big monologues would take me way longer than everybody else. You know who, you know Fonzie, the actor who's Fonzie?
Yeah, Henry Winkler.
Henry Winkler. He's dyslexic, even worse than me.
Oh, I know. I have his book. He started a book, Hank Ziffer, and it's about a kid who has a learning disability, dyslexia.
Really?
Oh, yeah, it's a whole series. My son has them.
Really, boy, I'd like to get that.
Yeah.
And what's the? I'm serious. Because,
I'll send you the link. It's I believe it's called. It's just Hank, but the character's name is Hank Ziffer. I'll make sure to send you the link. I think you'd like it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, just research. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I met him too, and he was mentioning about how, you know, he's the Fonz and he's the coolest of the cool, but Henry Winkler is the opposite. He feels, you know, insufficient and with the learning disability.
Totally, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. I saw an interview where he went into it. So yeah, it's exactly. Yeah, you just feel, when I was growing up, I just felt I was like a Martian. You know, I just even wasn't even on this planet. I just, everybody was, I don't think I thought it in this way, but I thought everybody is thinking differently than me. I mean, it wasn't that specific, but I generally got that idea from about 5 until 15. And then I just started to cope with it. And I didn't think of it that way.
I would imagine it would be frustrating.
Very frustrating, because I would have arguments with teachers in public school. I remember this. In public school, where they would tell me certain scientific things and I would interpret them. So I would argue science with, you know, I'm 15 and I'm arguing science with the science teacher. You know, later as I grew up, I realized, where was I at? I mean, arguing, but it was a comparative, like, for instance, I'll give you the argument, a 15-year-old. And I remember Mr. Traeger, what was his name? He was saying that a feeling of the warmth, that feeling of touch, you know, hot, cold, that it's different due to different materials. For instance, he had me feel the blackboard. So I say, okay, you got that feeling, you know what the temperature is, that cool or hot, or where is that? Okay, that's cool. Okay, and then he had me feel something else, a piece of wood or something like that. And he said, what does that feel like? Well, that's warmer. See, okay. And then he measured the temperature of each, and they were exactly the same temperature. So he was trying to tell me that it depends on the surface of the thing you're touching. Your feeling is not that exact. And I would argue that since I felt that was colder than that, it was colder than that. Logic, right? If that feels colder than that, then it is colder than that, Yeah. So that's dyslexia. It sees both ways, and they're both right.
Yeah,
of course,
sure.
I was wrong, but
technically, but I also understand your point of view.
Exactly. So that explains dyslexia. You see both sides of everything, and sometimes even 3 or 4 sides.
Sure.
Which is good for art, but not business.
I had an acting teacher back in college who I had that type of debate with, where I was trying to make the point of, if an actor can make a character more like him, I think that's really impressive. And his argument was the opposite. Well, if they can act completely different from them, that's impressive. I said, I agree, but I also think to make the character part of you, and he just wouldn't hear it. He wouldn't listen.
Yeah, so but both are right.
Right.
In that way. So in my thing, no, they weren't right, but it seemed right. In yours thing, it is right and it seems wrong. Yeah, but are you dyslexic, or is that just loud? Okay, but that's a dyslexic thing.
Right.
I mean, we do it with everything.
Right.
Right.
I think it's an intelligent thing to look at things from different perspective.
Exactly. So that's, me and Kanye West, we're together, except
oh yeah,
nuts.
like brothers.
but I mean, I understand his problem, his mental challenge.
Sure.
Now, and he doesn't want to destroy it because he thinks it's adding to his creativity, which of course it is, but there's another side to it, man.
Yeah, I think internally it probably helps with your creativity, because look, you're not only acting, you're an artist. I believe you sing too. Are you a musician?
No, but that's starting to go around. No, I'm the worst singer you ever heard.
Yeah,
so,
I thought
but you're not the first
that.
person who said that.
Yeah, I think it was written somewhere, and I picked up on it years ago and went, oh, okay, so we're like similar in that too.
My one desire is to sing. I tried it. I just sent because I write. I'm writing music now. I'm learning.
Well, there you go. That's cool.
Yeah, very cool. Also, by the way, and learning music is very helpful for my dyslexia and my other things. I have OCD, ADHD, and dyslexia all at the same time. So I become OCD, just focused on one thing, and it's like, but then I get disinterested and I start focusing on this, and what happened to that? So yeah, I've had a lot of adjustments to make. But once I understood, because when I was born, which is different than, now you say your son is dyslexic, or he just likes that book?
He just enjoys the books.
Okay. When I was born, there was no such thing as dyslexia, or OCD or ADHD. So I didn't even know it existed until I was in my 20s. I just think I was weird, and I accepted that. Okay, fine, I'm weird.
Right.
Well, Prince is weird, so fine. Bob Dylan is quirky. Okay, fine. So I'm in that gang. Okay, cool. And I just found ways to adjust. So, but then when I discovered, there's OCD and ADHD and dyslexia, and then I knew what they were about, then you can make adjustments, and then I became normal, and so you just pin notes up for memory, or I would ask for my scripts to be sent to me 3 days ahead.
Sure.
Of everybody else. boom, and then I could do it. So very simple.
And
But
that's not a
until you
problem.
learn what you have, you don't know what the hell is going on. You just think I was from Mars, or something like that.
And I always look at it as, there's to other people, it could be a problem, but to the person that has it, if they're aware of it, you can nurture it in creative ways and look at all that you're accomplishing,
Like for instance, here's where it comes in handy, which is very rare, but it really comes in. COVID, being sequestered. So, and I live alone, but I do have friends. Not that
I was going to say, I'm here for you, Larry. If you need a friend.
Right. Okay, thank you. So when I was sequestered, quote, I was sequestered a month before we ever heard of coronavirus or being sequestered or anything like that, because I was writing a screenplay, and because of my challenges, I have to sequester myself. I just have to shut off my friends for at least 8 hours a day. And I just write or paint or because I'm also, what is it called? Instant gratification, which I guess comes with the OCD and stuff. So in other words, if I start something, I want to get to the end now. I want to start it and finish it. So I'll sit there until it's finished. And then the COVID hit. And then I'm already sequestered. I'm already used to it. I'm painting. I don't care. This is what I'm geared for, to be sequestered. So I wrote the entire screenplay. I just finished it about a week ago. All the time sequestered, and I didn't mind it at all, and I don't have kids, so, I didn't have to take anybody anywhere or mind it.
Oh, yeah. It's not the worst inconvenience to have.
No. If you understand it, then fine, you can adjust.
Well, that's why when you had said that, you were working at such and such a time, I thought, oh man, he's so good. He got work during COVID. Wow.
Oh, I won't even. I won't even take work. I mean, even if it was offered, because I'm wondering now about what Hollywood is doing. How do they shoot sitcoms? That's once a week. How did I know they're getting laugh tracks. They're putting laugh tracks on.
Sure.
Also, they're putting laugh tracks. This is very interesting. They're putting laugh tracks during performance. So you're performing to an empty, those stage, those stages, that.
The empty halls, sure.
Yeah, but they have a laugh track. So they're playing, and then the guy in the sound booth, instead of working the microphones, he's working the laugh track. So if you say something funny that got a laugh in rehearsal during performance while it's being live cast, they turn up the laugh. So there's a guy on pots, just going blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
It must be the weird because there's nobody out there. And
but at the same time, I think it's probably smart to do because it establishes pacing. You have to know how long to pause before you carry on with the scene.
Yeah, I never realized that until I started doing research for this book. Basically, what I was doing, where it came out of, was I always had this thing because you have, when you're in show business, or I guess in anything, you have these stories you store up. I mean, as a kid, you have these stories that you always tell either a girl you're trying to impress or your friends, and you tell them over and over again. And these stories carry on, and you don't know it, but you're shaping them as you go along. You're making them better and better. So as long as I've been in show business, I've been telling show business stories. Hey, you know what happened to me on the set of blah, blah, blah. And I would tell that story over and over again. And I was starting to think, and then I was doing podcasts, so they were asking about these stories. So now I had a place to tell these stories that it plugged into a professional gig, a podcast. I'm not getting paid for it, but it's
promotion.
For entertainment, it's promotion. And these are the stories I've been telling to friends over the years. They're all honed now, and I tell them, and they like them. And I thought, geez, if I'm telling them to podcasters and interviews, I probably could be writing these down in a book. It would be a great bestseller,
Exactly.
So I started to record them. I got one of the podcasters a couple of months ago. And I said, hey, would you mind if I just called you every once in a while, with one of these stories, and you record them and just bank them? So then when I write the book, I can just type these out, or it reminds me this will be research, not only podcast, but it'll be research.
Yeah.
So that's what he did. And I just started listening to them this week because I had time. He's got about 8 hours of these stories that I've been telling for years. And he's got 8 hours, and I started to listen to them. And they're all, valid, and I can understand, this is why I've been telling them. It's either insightful or funny. But because he didn't understand that that I wanted him to listen and react, so that I would get the timing, the laughing. I wanted him to laugh.
Sure.
But I didn't tell him anything like that for about 2 or 3 weeks when I was telling him these stories. And there's something wrong. I just didn't feel right. There's something missing. I don't know what it is, but I'm telling the same stories. And I was listening to him back, and but the laughter, not only does it influence the pacing, which I kind of thought maybe it did, but it's energy. Comedians ride on the energy of the laughter for their timing.
Yeah.
And once the laughter isn't there, your timing is way off. Well, to me, it's way off. To an ordinary person, it's like books on tape. There's no laughter. It's just a person reading and you're listening. So it works. But in a comedy situation, if there's no laughter, it doesn't work half as well.
Oh, yeah.
When there's laughter there. Not that the laughter suggests other people
it's like
laugh. It's for me, for the comedian. It's a tool. It's a very important tool. Yeah, it's like another person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The one time
the one time I did stand up, I was worried about how, when you first go up on stage, you think, how do you get this started? Because you're going to say, hey, how's everybody doing tonight? And they're ready. If you aren't funny, the energy goes down and it's harder to climb back up. But the moment you get your first laugh, you're like, oh, give. I want more.
Yeah. Well, that's true what you just said, because I was a stand-up comedian for years. I was a good comedian. I was opening for Kingston Trio and Miles Davis. I was really hip. But that came up, about how do you get on stage? And now I found out one thing that was the curse for comedians. I didn't realize it until I started making really good money, and I was working a lot. And I noticed as I got better and better at my craft of comedy, but as my salary got started and I started returning to places, opening for big acts, so they would always call me back because I was successful with them, so they'd call me back with these people. And I noticed it was at the Cellar Door. This is where this happened.
In New York.
They loved me. Yeah, in Washington, D.C. This was
that one,
back
okay.
in the day. This was like in the 70s, 60s, 70s. They started, because I was playing there regularly now, like every 2 or 3 months, they would have a really good act and they would call me in to open for. So they got to know me, the Cellar Door. So they started to introduce me as Larry Hankin, one of the funniest people that we at the Cellar Door ever had, ladies and gentlemen, Larry Hankin. And I noticed that I was dying out there. The more they played me up, the worse it was. So one day I got there, the next time I got there, when I'd made this discovery, I said, I don't want you to introduce me at all, except this is what you say. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Hankin. That's all. Don't get excited, okay? Just give me an introduction and shut up. Okay, so that's what they did. And I found this out for all you stand-up guys. The audience, if you don't say anything, if they don't know what's going on, if a person comes out on the stage in front of the microphone, they will wait for 2 minutes until they find out you are and what you're doing up there, and they'll shut up. They're really curious, and that saved my ass. And really, because when I did find, so it didn't matter what I started with. Hi, how you doing? What's going on? I didn't even tell them I was a comedian, or I didn't start off with a joke. I wanted that silence. I wanted that because hi, okay. So I was just standing outside. I would just tell them something I just did a couple of seconds. I was standing backstage. I heard, blah, blah, blah. Or, yesterday I was in the supermarket and I worked my way into my first joke. But I didn't, and it just went like that. And I had their attention all the way through because I wasn't trying.
Right.
That's what they, the guys relaxed. Well, so they got relaxed, hi, I blah, blah. I wouldn't push it to 2 minutes. In other words, I would feel that I'm ready, not they're ready. That
right.
I would feel I'm ready to say my first joke because I'm entering it. Now I've approached it. I don't even remember what my first, thing was, but it always wove my way into it. Maybe in a minute, and sometimes it was 30 seconds. Sometimes it was, a minute 45 seconds.
Yeah.
But if I didn't get any introduction, they would wait to see, who is this guy? What's going on? What is he a singer? There's no band.
He's got to do something.
It was great. I love that tension of the interest.
Well, do you notice too, I've noticed that the audience will root for you. They're not out to get you. They want to like you. So they're waiting. Yeah. Give us a reason. And then you got us.
Right. And even if it's whatever, if you're funny or relaxed or whatever, something cool and okay. Yeah, they do. I mean, they're there to laugh. I mean, they paid money. They didn't come to boo. They didn't pay a huge amount of money to boo. I remember Bob Dylan said that one time when they were booing him. When he first started going electric, and the crowd booed him. Right. And I remember in a recorded interview, he said one of the things was he said, and they started to boo, and I couldn't figure out. Why would they pay so much money to come see me and then boo me? But yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about. So everybody gets it. Everybody gets that. What the, why are you, don't do that.
Right. Yeah.
But you knew I was going to be here. I don't understand. What?
You watch, I'm right in front of you.
Yeah. Right. Why are you booing me? You pay that much money? And okay. Yeah. Hey, let's go spend $30-$40 to boo this guy.
Make this person feel like garbage. Cool. Okay. Well, that's why I couldn't watch the show. What was it? What was the show live from the, it would be on every week. And it was basically these comedians would go out on stage and the audience was brutal to them.
Is that on television or something?
Yeah, it was.
The Apollo,
right?
Oh,
that's
that
brutal.
Was,
I couldn't do that.
No, that was. No, that you did go to boo. No, that was a judgment thing. You paid your money to judge people. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was it started probably as a thing. But then, do you remember the old in when it was Vaudeville? Now you're not that old, neither
but I
am
know
I.
it.
But there was a famous sister singing act back in the day of Vaudeville. And you came to boo. You even brought cabbages, apples, and tomatoes. And they stood up there and sang, and they threw this stuff. And after a while, their manager thought that they had a hit. He had a hit act on their hands, and so he would say, the sisters are coming next week. Bring your stuff. He would. I don't know how he phrased it, but bring vegetables, I guess, or whatever. But they put a net up on the stage so they wouldn't get hurt. So they performed behind a very open net. The things are about this big. And then they sang, and people threw potatoes and cabbages and tomatoes, and it was a big thing. It was like they were so sellout all the time. So hey, people can make money on anything. I'm telling you.
Well, it's funny. The saying, like I'm in Dixon City in Pennsylvania, which is basically Scranton.
Wow.
But the saying that if you make it here, you could make it anywhere.
In Scranton, I'll bet, man. Even better than New
that's
York.
where that came from. Everybody thinks it's New York. It turns out it was Scranton.
Oh, right.
Back in the Vaudeville days. Yeah. Back in the Vaudeville days, if they got through and people applauded them, then they knew from Scranton they can go to New York, and they deserved
and take it. Right? Yeah.
Billy Joel actually started his career in Scranton.
Oh, that's where that song came from.
Which well, there's Allentown.
Allentown.
But
He's
he
talking about Scranton.
You know the song "Only the Good Die Young"?
Yeah.
That's about a girl that he dated who went to Marywood, which is in Scranton. It's a college, a Catholic college. Wow. And he talks about the stained glass window you're hiding behind. That's a famous.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So when he came to Scranton, he knew if he was successful here, he was going to make it.
Cool. Very good.
Yeah, right?
Very good. Got to go to Scranton.
Yeah.
Got to go to Scranton.
Well, I'll be in the audience if you do.
Okay. Don't bring anything
I
larger
won't bring the
than
cabbage,
your head.
No. Hey, Larry, remember? Remember this? You're like, wait, I didn't even get into my 2 minutes. Back off. Did you start? Here's one of the things I always wonder about, because I know for me, I was inspired by other heroes to go out and do acting and do singing, and like I have my inspiration, and that's what kind of bubbled underneath and made me go, do this. Not many people do this. You do. And I felt that drive. Did you have that? Was there like people that you were inspired?
No, not really. That's why I finally, in my a couple of years ago, well, I don't know, when I was about 30. I mean, I started out as a stand-up comedian. I was funny, and I'm a born storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't discover it, and I really believe that. So there was no, I didn't say, oh, I want to do that. No, I remember my mom was really great in that aspect. She was really wonderful. Whenever I came back from school, she would say, well, how was your day? I mean, it's just every parent does, how was your day? But I would go into very specific details about my day at school, and she would sit and she would listen, man. And she was always interested. So the interest, that was the attraction. The interest was the substitution for laughter. If you're laughing, you're interested. I'm going to tell you some more. Her interest was, I'll tell her as much as I know, because of the interest. And sometimes she laughed and sometimes not. But that, my mom was the inspiration, because she would listen to me. So I would talk. My dad wasn't even there when he was there. I mean,
sure.
So that, and then as I grew up, the laughter, but it was a storytelling. That was what I was born with. I mean, I was Aesop, fairy tales, those are the stories that I would remember and tell. And not to my mom, but I just knew them all. I just memorized them all. So the dyslexia got more and more as I grew older. I could memorize those things. But then I started to, in school, I would make my friends laugh. So then, okay, now the comedy started to come out of the stories. And then, but my parents, so far, no, nobody that I was looking after, I didn't have any idols. All the way through high school, no idols. Milton Berle, but, he made me laugh, but I couldn't do what Milton Berle did. I mean, it was just, I don't know, he would hit himself with pies in the face and stuff. I didn't get that.
Right.
But people were laughing. And then I guess in high school, I won funniest in high school 2 years in a row, junior year and senior year. And that kind of like nailed it. Okay. And then they wanted me to go to college instead of, I wanted to go to show business. I wanted to be a comedian. So there's that started that, the 2 years. But in college, I was an industrial designer, and that's where that stuff came in, and the advertising and, the art school and stuff. But in college, I was just a funny guy, I was in a fraternity. I was the funny guy in the fraternity. Sure. But I started getting in trouble. What I thought was funny was actually disrespectful. And that's when I started to get into satire, as one very, very smart German satirist once said to me. I say German because he's from Germany and he wrote for Der Spiegel, satire. And he said, after I'd been in showbiz for a while, and I was a satirist, it bothered me, you know. He said, well, a lot of people don't like what I say, you know. And he said, you know, satirists have little knives in their boots. So you don't fuck with a satirist. You know, people don't like knives. But, you know, you gotta put it to them. You gotta stick it to them.
Yeah, verbally
So,
lacerate them.
Yeah, I mean, satire is serious. Comedy is funny. Satire is funny and very serious. They go after big stuff that you shouldn't be doing, you know, and, you know, government and politics and religion, stuff that are sacred cows. That's what you go after. And that's what I was doing. So, you know, I was starting to chafe people. I was starting to, you know, and then people started coming at me with beer bottles and cops. So that, and then I was into Richie Pryor, George Carlin, sure. And that's when my heroes started to come up, and I started to go from. Have you ever even heard of Myron Cohen? Oh, what happened?
No, I'm still here.
Wait a minute, I'm off.
Oh, you're still here for me. Can you hear me?
I am? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I don't know what just happened.
Oh, you must have minimized your picture. I'm sure it's still there.
Okay, let me.
When you went to click on something to look it up, it probably minimized the picture of me.
Okay, wait a minute. I just got to get back online because I.
No, you're good. I think it's.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not on. I'll just keep talking.
Yeah, because I'm here.
Oh, okay. As long as I'm being broadcast.
Yes.
Is that what you're
saying?
saying?
I got you. Yeah, you're still good.
Okay, so yeah. And how did I get into the show? Well, I forgot where I was. I was
satire.
Yeah, it was satire. Yeah, the cops started. I was opening for like Miles Davis. They were cool, but when I started opening for rock and roll bands and sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and I got to Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri, they booed me. Not only did they boo me, these college kids, but they also started throwing things. And I'd never met that. I know people who didn't laugh or booed maybe a little, you know, one guy or maybe a heckler, maybe. But nothing like an entire audience just starting to pull off their armrests and throw them at me.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was just really crazy. So what I did was I called my manager. Oh, and then after they started throwing things, these armrests, and the Love and Spoonful were off on the side, and they were there. No, keep going, because they wanted a riot. You know, the publicity.
To make the
news.
news.
They was like, no, keep going, don't shut up. And the weird thing about the audience was, if I held my hands up and saying, no, stop, wait, I want to talk to you. I'm stop, I want to talk to you. They stopped throwing things and they shut up. They just quieted down, these college students. And I said, hey man, I thought this was sex, drugs, rock and roll. This is a rock and roll concert. I don't understand, but I have clean material. So let me just continue with the clean material. And they said, okay, you know, they didn't say okay, but they quieted down. And so I said, okay. So I did, you know, a clean bit.
Sure.
You know, blah, blah, blah. And it was funny that I did another clean bit and I got a really big laugh. So then I said, okay, let's go back to sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And I started into what they were booing at. And they just now, not only did they almost riot, they were, no, get off the stage, blah, blah, blah. And then the guys in the back started, no girls were doing any of this, by the way.
Sure.
The guys in the back were knocking off their armrests because it's too far to throw. It was an arena. They started passing their armrests down to the first two rows, like ammunition. The caissons are coming down. And then they started throwing it. And then cops started to come down the aisles.
Wow.
20 cops, 10 on this wall aisle and 10 on this wall aisle. They come on both sides of the stage. And they very nicely, very gentlemanly, you know, took me by both arms, and they just waltzed me off the stage. And they come, and the Love and Spoonful in the wings going, boo, boo, the police, leave them out there, leave them out there. And so then they split, and then two cops just stood by my side backstage, and the other 18 cops split. And I go, okay, now what? And they say, well, nothing, we just have to stand here and guard you. Guard me until what? What am I going to do? And he said, well, until the Love and Spoonful starts playing. so that you don't go back out there.
Sure.
But they weren't holding me. They were just standing
No,
there.
just, yeah.
And then, and then we ran out of conversation, so I just stood there until Love and Spoonful started playing, and they said, see ya. And then they just split. And then the next place I went to was Jack's on the Highway, which was a nightclub. And then in that one, I was opening for the Love and, for the Kingston Trio.
Okay.
And I couldn't see anything because there's a dance floor, and then the stage is only that high, it's a nightclub, and then there's a dance floor, and then it's just black out there because the lights are in my eyes. So
Exactly.
just clear. And so I was on blah, 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 blah. And then they, boo, hey, get off the stage. Right. Blah, 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 blah. Hey, I said, get off the stage. Blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, out of the blackness or right across the dance floor comes this really bohunk, like a lumberjack in a suit, big, and he's got a beer bottle upside down in his fist. And he says, I said, get the fuck off the stage. And I go, okay, fine. Well, boom.
Why didn't you say so?
Why didn't you say so? Yeah. So I got off the stage and I sat at the bar, and then the bartender comes over. He says, hey, man, what's going on? There's nobody out there. I go, did you see that guy with the beer bottle come at me? He goes, yeah, where's that guy? Get out there. The Kingston Trio isn't coming on for another 10 minutes. I said, I'm not going out there until you get rid of that guy, man. He was going to hurt me really bad. He says, no, you got to get out there. You got 10 more minutes. And I said, I want to talk to the bouncer, man. And he said, I'm the bouncer. Get back out there. You're not getting paid. And I said, I'm not getting out there until you bounce him.
Right.
And he said, no, you get out there. You're not getting paid. And I said, I'm not. He says, you're fired. And I just left.
Sure.
So I called up my manager and I said, okay, comedy is over. I mean, I didn't have the tenacity or the gumption or the will to take what Richie Pryor and George Carlin went through. I mean, I wasn't any different than them. It's just that I couldn't take it,
Sure.
So I said to him, oh, look, I said, Jack, this is like Woody Allen's manager. I was opening for Woody Allen, at the same time.
Yeah.
I said, Jack, this is not fun for me. I'm in it for the fun. I'm not in it for the money. I really don't care about the money. I like doing what I'm doing, but that's not fun. Beer bottles and cops, So he said, well, join Second City. They have the same thing they're doing the same thing as Richie and George Carlin. So, but they own the theater. So they throw those, guys with the beer bottles, and they don't let the cops in. So, so I auditioned and I did get into them. So that was really cool. And I liked doing that. And then we moved to San Francisco. The one weird thing about the guys and the cops booing me off stage, especially Washington University, the cops, we left there, Love and Spoonful went on and they were great. They're, big hit like they always were.
Sure.
So and we traveled together. I was the opening act for Love and Spoonful on the tour. I was on the tour.
Huh.
So the second gig was Northwestern University. And when we got there and we flew up there all together, there's 7 people, 4 of them, 4 Love and Spoonful, me and 2 of their managers who traveled with them. And I was just with the group. We flew and we got to the hotel. We checked in and we're heading towards the elevators, and these 3 gentlemen stepped in front of us between the elevators and our party. And they said, and these were the 3 gentlemen, a police officer, a captain in the police department of, I don't know, Northwestern University, from the city, a priest from the city in the collar and everything, and a gentleman in a suit with white hair who's the dean of the college. And they said, is this the Love and Spoonful party? And the 2 managers immediately got in front of us, me, us and them, and said, what is this about? And the dean said, is there a Larry Hankin in this party?
Oh, geez.
And they immediately turned to us, the 2 managers turned to us, and they said, very quietly, and they didn't say my name, they said, I want you to go upstairs to his room, lock yourself in, don't open the door for anybody but us. Okay, now get out of here. So we went to the elevator and they turned and they talked to the guy. And we were up there for half an hour and Love and Spoonful wanted, you got to do your act, man. You got to do your act, Fuck it. I mean, they just so wanted a riot. It was just, So we were laughing. I said, well, I want to go on, but I don't want to be booed off. I don't know what to do. So just before they came upstairs, it was about a half hour, I said, fuck it, I'll do my act. Okay, I'm going to do my act. Okay, I don't care. So, yeah, good for you. Knocked on the door, they came in, the two managers, said, okay, they don't want you to go on. Larry, they're speaking to me. No, they don't want you to go on. I go, why? He said, well, they got a call from Washington University. The dean called, this dean, and he said, they've got a filthy mouthed comedian opening for them. And, we can't have that. So they don't want you to go on. And I go, oh, man, that's so, the 11th, no, we're not going on. We're not going on. If he don't go on, we're not going on. So he said, okay, nice. But we made a deal. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
But, no, okay, so we made a deal. Now, here's the deal, and that's it. So take it or leave it. The deal is he can go on, but if he says anything untoward, we're shutting him down and the concert's off. So we all agreed, okay. So I said, okay. They said, well, what are you going to do? And they said, well, we don't care. The two managers says, we don't care. That's the deal. You guys decide what you want to do. We're going to dinner. And they split. They left it up to us. So I said, I'm going to do my act. And they said, great. Okay. So we go downstairs and we open up, ladies and gentlemen, Larry Hankin, blah, blah, blah. And I do my entire act and it's great. It went over great, better than any other college I've ever been to. Wow. So there you go. Figure that out.
Honestly, right?
Yeah. I mean, so they were ready with the switch to shut me off. But even though I was saying, stuff that they shut me down there, I did the exact same stuff, but the audience was laughing. They loved it. So of course they didn't shut it down. I was a success, and they weren't going to shut down the Love and Spoonful because there would be a riot.
What year was this?
What?
What year was this?
This was, well, it had to be after 1965 and before 1968. So it was, It was in that window. I probably about 65, 66, I guess.
So you're right at the hippie culture, looking to cause trouble era.
Yeah. It was just before the turning point where it got dark and black and amphetamines and Dobermans started to come into San Francisco.
Yep.
So yeah. So and then we finished the tour. It wasn't a big tour. We finished the tour and everything went fine after that. I mean, but then I got off the tour and went to Jack's on the Highway and the beer bottle thing. And then I called and they said, I can't do this anymore. So I joined Second City. I was there for a year in Chicago and I loved it. I would do that for the rest of my life. That was the best gig I've ever had. And about 5 or 6 of us split and went to San Francisco and opened the committee, which was Second City only in Chicago. Not connected. We changed the name and we were just our own independent. But within a year, we were a rival of Second City. I mean, the United States equated us. They were famous, Second City in Chicago.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And they had opened a show in New York, and that was successful. And then we had lines around the block. I remember when we first started in San Francisco, the mantra was, don't quit your day gig. Now, we didn't have any day gigs.
Sure.
It was this company is going to succeed or that's it. Yeah. But the judges, don't quit your day gig, because in the beginning, we weren't successful at all. The mantra then was, if there's more people on stage than in the audience, we don't have to do a show. And we only had 5 people on the stage. So that was how small the houses were. And that went on for about 5 or 6 months. But we hung in there, I think that the investors, the San Francisco investors, I said they would give us a year, and then about 7 or 8 months into it, one day, because generally, like on a Saturday night, the director, Alan Myerson, he would put in changes because, you generally get a bigger house on a Saturday, obviously. Mm-hmm. People don't have to work. So, the bigger the house, he would try to, there's less chance of you failing in an improv. So he would put on new stuff, on the weekend, So we were rehearsing or doing exercises and switching around the running order and stuff from about 6. The box office opened at 6:30, so from 5:30 to 6:30 we were rehearsing. So we're inside, we don't know what's going on outside. Okay. When the box office opened, we were still rehearsing behind closed doors because there's a lobby. We're rehearsing, and okay, now 8:00 the show starts. So 7:30 we quit, and I said I'm going outside, and they just wanted to eat. So we had a restaurant in the theater. So everybody stayed in to eat before the show, and I went outside. And I get outside, and for the first time ever, there's not only a line around the corner, there's a line around the block so that the first person in line can see the last person in line. It blew my mind because we're used to 30, 40 people.
Sure.
So I run back inside, and I get one of my buddies in the company, Hamilton, that was his name. Hamilton comes out. Well, from Hamilton and Camp, Gibson and Camp. They were folk singing, but he was funny as hell, and he wanted to be an actor. So I said, come on outside. And we walked the line, man. We walked all the way. It was a city block. It's not like a short block. It's a city block. We walked all the way around saying hello to everybody and walked all the way around. And that was the end of, if there's more people in the audience than us, we don't have to do the show. We were packed every night, and that was it. So we were big. And then that's how I became an actor, because now LA was right down the street almost. I mean, it was $35 round trip to fly from Hollywood to San Francisco and back. Whereas to fly to Chicago to see that show, which was the same. I mean, different, but the same.
Sure.
People in Hollywood now, and here's the great the gift of being in San Francisco in a hit show. If we, every once in a while, if somebody got a vacation or they just want to take a week off to, maybe get a manager or something or an agent, because we didn't have anything up there. We just were a hit show. That was it.
Yeah.
To fly down to LA to get a manager, it's really hard, man. So you have to do a several times, take off a day or 2 or 3 or 4, fly down there and go around and read resumes and stuff. It wasn't working, man. None of us had gotten a manager in the first year and a half. And then the fame and the packed houses the scuttlebutt got down to LA. So now all the heavy hitters we could never in a million years get to see, all the green light guys would fly up with their wives, with their dates for $35, and a hotel room. And they would see the show. So we had the best of Hollywood coming to see us. So the entire company got agents and managers by flying down and doing one-offs. A day on a sitcom, a week on a sitcom.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing. You have the best audition right there, and you're just doing your show. They're coming to you.
Right. And that was a gift that we had no idea that was all about. And still, I refused to. I flew down once or twice, but I really wasn't, I just loved being up there. Maybe it was my attitude or whatever. But then finally, Laverne, what was her name? Laverne Shirley.
Penny Marshall. Yeah.
Penny Marshall flew up, just like everybody else, flew up and saw the show and went back down and, get Larry Hankin. I want him in the Laverne and Shirley show. We were doing a prom date thing. Laverne and Shirley were going to their prom, and Laverne saw that I was a tall, skinny, physical comedian kind of guy in the show. And so she wanted to do a dance thing, a prom dance thing, and she thought I would be a good dance partner. To get Larry Hankin down, I want to dance with him. So that's how I got an agent. I did the Laverne and Shirley show, and I got a call. Yeah, you got an agent? No, you want one? Yeah. Well, come on in. So I came in. Said, okay, how about me? He said. Because always I'm saying, oh, how about me?
Sure.
Yeah. But he said, well, how about me? I said, yeah, great. Because in those days, well, I guess still, you're not real. If a stand-up comedian or an actor or whatever, if you don't have or a folk singer in the village and stuff. If you don't have an agent or a manager, you're not real.
Right.
You're not in show business.
Right.
You know, you're a wannabe. But as soon as you go to the worst agent in the world, she could be, she could be in Georgia. Doesn't matter.
But it sounds legitimate.
You've got, yeah, you are legitimate. You can hang with the heavies, the guys who have managers. I mean, that's the attitude I got in Greenwich Village when I was doing open mic nights. I tell you the other thing about what I liked. I loved improvising, and I would do that in a second. I don't care about the money.
Yeah.
As long as I can pay my rent and put food in my mouth.
Sure.
That's it. I'll take care of the rest. But that. And then the other thing was open mic nights are the greatest. I don't know if you ever did these.
I host them. Not only do I perform in them as a singer-songwriter, but I had last year I had a steady gig where I got us to have 2 nights, a Tuesday and a Friday night, and it became the hit of the town. And you're right, because it's that camaraderie where all of a sudden you become like a group unto yourself. And you know that, look, there's my buddy, and you support each other, and they come up. It's just a big circle of love.
Yeah, and if the love isn't there, which I know because I did hundreds of those things. The other thing is, that's where I got the hint that, I'm not funny. I mean, in the beginning, I wasn't funny. I was trying out stuff that I wrote. It just wasn't working. It was just stuff off the top of my head, my day, that started to work. But in the beginning, when I wasn't funny, I just get up there and try to be funny. They knew I was only going to be up there for 5 minutes. Why boo? Let the guy go on. He'll be off there in 5 minutes. So they would just sit and just patiently wait until you were finished. And I loved that gesture of the audience.
Yes.
That, I know I'm not funny. You're not laughing. I'm aware. But you're just sitting there with your coffee waiting for the next guy. So thank you very much.
Yep. Yep. It's a pleasant group.
Yeah. And then that way I could try out material and see, well, the beginning isn't working, but the ending seems to work. So I just got to change the beginning. Yeah, it's a great way to let you work out without any fear of dying and not being able to come back,
right,
tomorrow night. So you would do the rounds. You would do the early show. You would get on that, do your 5 minutes, and then all the coffee houses in Greenwich Village. So you go to the next one, all do the early shows. By then you come back to the original place, and now you're doing a late show.
And so now it's changed a bit. The
different audiences.
The second time I took that part out. Oh, the audience, yeah, but now they didn't know that joke wasn't funny, so I took it out. Oh,
right, yeah. No, and I wasn't writing jokes at all. I wrote one joke, and the first time I went on, I thought, well, I'll go on because I was mopping and sweeping up the duck boards behind behind the bar. The bartenders work on the duck board. And so I was sweeping up from 2 a.m. from last call until 6 a.m. when the chef came in for the grill part. It was a bar and grill. And he would let me out. They locked me in. I didn't have the key to get out. They locked me in.
Wow.
And I had to, sweep up and clean up and stuff like that. So my job was from 2 till 6. So I had a lot of time to kill before, like from 8 o'clock until 2 in the morning. And I didn't like hanging out at the bar. So I'd go to the coffee houses.
Sure.
And I would hang there and I'd see the comedians and stuff like that. And I said, well, here's a great way. So I thought, okay, next week or, the next time or tomorrow night, I'm going to get up and do a 5-minute thing. So I try to write jokes because I didn't know that my thing was storytelling that were funny. I didn't realize that until way later on. So I tried to write, but it wasn't working. I mean, they almost made them boo. That was how bad they were. And so I just stopped doing that. I just stopped writing them. I think I wrote 5 jokes or 1 or 2 or 3, and I got the feeling right away. No, so I just get up and talk about my day. I mean, just like back, when I was talking to my mom.
And by then you only have 5 minutes, so you know how to edit yourself.
Oh yeah, just tell it. In other words, if you write a joke, you got to tell it that way. And if you don't memorize it that way, then you know it's going to fail. So you got to tell it that way. And if you tell it that way, there's no other way to tell it the way you know. So you're going to die either way if it ain't funny on the page.
Right.
You know? But if you're telling something that just happened to you, you can tell it 20 different ways. It's the same story, but you just tell it differently.
Yeah.
You know, you're not married to anything.
Exactly.
So it's much freer. And I felt more relaxed and not as tense on stage, which in front relaxes the audience and they'll laugh easier. Just because you're not.
You're already confident. You're confident.
You're relaxed. Yeah.
And was Laverne and Shirley your first professional acting gig?
Kind of, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. It actually was. That's how I got my agent.
Because I was going to say, I remember first seeing you, which I guess I'm wrong because I saw Laverne and Shirley before this, but I remember ever since Annie with you as the dog catcher.
Now, was that before Laverne and Shirley?
I don't think so. I think this was after.
And anyway, I'm sure because I had an agent for that.
Yeah.
For a long time. You can't get that.
That was 83
kind of
or 82 was Annie.
Annie, yeah.
So yeah.
And
Laverne and Shirley was in the 70s.
Yeah, that was I believe Laverne and Shirley was the actual, like everybody was getting calls to go down. And I got a call in that batch. Now, I certainly wasn't first to get the call, but I was in the mix of the first people to go down there. I mean, we only had 5 people and maybe sometimes 6, but it was 5 people in the show. So there was only a certain amount of people who they could call. That was different than I was either the 3rd or the 4th person, or even if I was the 5th, it was in that 2-month period where we were getting calls to go down there, and then, so I became legitimate from Laverne and Shirley,
and did you constantly have like a steady stream after that or no?
Well, yeah, I mean, once you get an agent, things change because now there's somebody down there representing you, making the calls and calling you because they're going to earn money from you. It's not like, you have to go down each time to look around. So I was getting calls now because I had an agent and we all were. If you have an agent and you're in San Francisco and all the jobs are in LA and your manager or agent is in LA, you're going to have to leave San Francisco because the money,
you're
being called once a month at least, or once every 2 months, you're leaving enough for you to say, hey, there's steady work down here.
And this trip is killing me. The work is fine. I just don't want to have to travel.
Right. And also the money was just so huge. And then you go back and you're only getting $500 a week, which up in San Francisco during the 60s was plenty, man. I could go out on dates. I could have fun. I could get drunk. I could get high. I could, and I could pay my rent and eat. That was the important thing. So even if I didn't, get high a lot or drink a lot or go out a lot, it didn't matter. I was free and it was easy and I didn't have to memorize anything. I didn't have to do anything. All I had to do was just, our rehearsals were games. That's how you rehearse for improv. Certain games that made. So it was called play, So I had to play 3 times a week for 2 hours. That was
and that's okay. That's fun.
Yeah, that was fun. And not only that, Alan Meyerson called all the professional, not directors, but I remember there's a very famous, I think it was Ann Halpern. I don't know how I can remember these things, but Ann Halpern had a dance group up there that was very famous worldwide, dance group. And he would job these people these professional people who happen to live in San Francisco, but were entertainers, dancers, musicians, other actors, and sports people for limbering, exercise.
Oh, okay,
and he would call them in for our game times, for like the 2 hours a week or to train us. So we had, dancers like Ann Halpern would come in, or we'd go to her studio for the 2 hours. And we'd do dancing, but, geared for actors on a stage.
Sure.
So they were just stretching and stuff like. So not only was it fun to do, but we were, being treated like professional performers. And so we were getting the best of the education of in music and in singing and dancing, and
Well, see, that's
because
fun.
we were up there. And when you get down to LA, you're just on call for auditions. Nobody's training you unless you want to pay, you know.
Well, I remember Mike Nesmith talking about when they were doing the Monkees, and
Right.
before they started filming, you know, these are four guys who come from all different parts of the world coming together. Well, they weren't familiar with each other, so they would have them watch like the classics, the Marx Brothers, the Three Stooges, and say, get the timing right with your delivery, but we don't want you doing slapstick comedy. And they would bring in dancers and they would have them ad lib and like try different stuff. And then once after like a couple weeks, they went, you guys are now gelled. Whatever you do, we're just going to film. So when you watch the Monkees, they're ad-libbing through the whole darn thing.
Oh, wow, man.
I mean,
that's
you know,
so cool.
More so in the second season, they hardly followed a script. And it made the show better.
Yeah.
But you're right.
Improv.
They did make them run the gambit of dance.
See, that's the thing, the training. And that's what I miss. And I think that's why I miss improv is the whole package, not just being up on stage, but the forming, the getting the group to become one, you know, like you say for them. And we had that, and then they would keep it up. So we were there. I was there for 10 years. I was there from the beginning until it closed.
Wow. 10
years. But in those 10 years, we would, the last 3 years was kind of tough.
Sure.
Because everybody had left that I knew.
Oh.
I was directing the third and the fourth company, and they were just people we could pick up from San Francisco.
Okay.
You know, up until then, we were farming people out from New York, Second City, and from Chicago, Second City, or we were training them ourselves. So if you came in, so our first company, which was very professional, really great. I mean, we're as good as any other improv company could ever be.
Yeah.
You know, but our company, one of the rules of being in our company, these 5 people, were you had to run 1 class a week. And it was not only for the company to get people in as they left, but it was the best of the improvers were training new people. So they were passing on what they knew. After a while, it was the people in San Francisco who had been trained by these people who were training other people from San Francisco. So it was becoming diluted.
Sure.
You know,
sure.
And so I started to see the company is weaker now, you know, because, well, it's the bad direction. No, the most it could be is 50-50 as a director to influence. I mean, you're up on the stage, you're alone. I remember thinking as an improviser, man, I remember going up to the director, Alan Meyerson, and saying, how do you get off? I mean, what's in it for you? I mean, we're up on stage, we're getting the laughs, it's our words, we're, you know, blah, blah, blah. You're just running, you know, improv games during the week, 3 times a week. What's in it for you? I mean, I failed to think, well, the money, he owns it. So that probably was it. But I was trying to think of, you know, the creativity part.
Sure.
And he said a very interesting thing. He said, and it helped me when I started to direct. You know, I said, can you give me any hints about what's in it for me? I don't get it. He said, well, what's in it for you is, and for him, he says, you know, as soon as they improvise something twice, like, you know, you get an idea from the audience, you improvise it, it goes over really well. That's pretty good. Let's keep doing that. So you come off the stage and the director comes up to you and he says, that was really good. Let's do that again the next night. Okay, and that's all. That's all. That's they tell you. Oh, and the next night you say, okay, you know, do that thing. Because there's a show afterwards where you take a couple of improvs, and then the rest of the things for the second show is improvs you're working on. So it's not a finished piece, and nobody's taking suggestions for it.
Mm-hmm.
We're just improvising it over and over again, trying to make it better and better. So yeah, so you improvise, and then for those things, he comes up and he says, okay, in that scene, Larry, I want you to work on your wear a little, and Lee, you work on your objects a little more. Make your objects a little realer, because it's all mime and stuff. You know?
Sure.
So you get up, and that's all you would do. That's the kind of directing. And to me, that's not directing. I don't get anything from that if I'm a director and you're doing it. But what happens is, he said, Alan saying to me, what happens with that is when they do that, when they take these suggestions of yours of little games to play on the stage, you know, work with the props more, work with your environment more, that they start to get into their character more. They stop trying to think about what to say next, and they're starting to get creative. They're going deeper. So the scene gets better. What's in it for you, Larry, as the director, is after they do that twice, you know, you give a suggestion to wear the objects. Now work on, don't sit in a chair all the time, walk around. Just like you do that twice, you know, he says to me, Larry, as the director, you know where the scene can go and how it should look. You know the finished thing. You know where this is going. You can't tell them that. You can't tell them, okay, this is the scene. Because you as a director can go home and type it out and it'll work. Because it's there, they just haven't finessed it. You just say, keep going.
Right.
That's all.
And honest to God, because I understand, I used to have the same problem. I'm like, why would I ever want to be a director in anything? Why do I want to be the guy who sits in the audience and bosses people around? But you're right. You have a different perspective, and you're also looking at the bigger picture.
Yeah. So what they do, and now they're on their own. You don't talk to them about that, which is, we're going to do this for another week. You know, don't come to me. You know, I set the mechanics of it.
Right.
You just got to make it better. You know, that's all. That's all I'm saying. And they do, because they're actors and they're creative people and they're improvisers, and they've learned their game lessons. Mm-hmm. And son of a gun, you know, you work on it for like 3 more weeks. The director doesn't talk to you about it. You just, every night you're going to do that same thing. Mm-hmm. And if you're not getting the laughs, you make it better. Don't come to me. And son of a gun, man, in about 3 weeks to a month, you move it into the show. You can open with it. And that's how you do it. You just take, you know, you move it up, put it in there, and you take one out.
Sure.
You know, then there's the next one you're working on, and you put it in, and you move it up. And you got another hit show right there in about 6 or 7 months. You've got all new pieces and you don't know how the director, what he saw, what, you know, where he got it. And I thought that was really cool. And when I started to direct, even though it was a San Francisco company,
sure,
I saw the truth of what he was saying. It was just like a miracle. You know, you suddenly, after they do it twice, you go, oh, I know where this is going. I even know how it ends. Don't say a fucking word. And I tried to influence it. I try to go against that. Like I try to, it just falls apart.
Oh, sure.
Because they stop wanting to improvise. Well, he's watching, so we don't have to do anything. If he told me this, let me tell him the next thing, because it's not working now.
Was that what made you decide to direct something, or was it out of necessity?
No, he told me. He said, Larry, I'm out.
Oh.
You're in charge now. I go, what do you mean? He said, well, you're the director now. So that means I can't be on the stage. He says, yeah, you can't. You're out of the company. I go, wow, man. And I really didn't like that at all, but he was going to leave. I mean, he was getting TV. He was going to direct TV sitcoms. I mean, the money is amazing.
Oh, sure.
There. So I went through, you know, flop sweats, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't know what to do. And then when my first show opened, and it was a success, you know. Good. Thank God it was a success. And it got good reviews, so they start to interview me as well, Larry, you know, you're a big hit as a improv company, and now you're directing. what's the difference? How does that feel? And I just told him totally flat out. I said, man, all I can think of is there's 5 actors between me and the audience. Because I could see where every improv was going.
Sure.
If they did it twice, when I said, the audience would give them a suggestion and they would knock it out of the ballpark kind of for first improv.
Yeah.
Wow, that was really cool. We got to keep that. So now I got to be a director, and it's work on the objects, work on your wear. I was trying to think of everything that Meyerson ever told me as an actor. I just throwing stuff at him. But basically, thank God the actors were good enough in their gamesmanships that they made it work.
Yeah.
In other words, the more I backed away and shut the hell up, the better the actors were on stage. So I did learn how to direct. And here's the hookup, and I didn't learn this until years later when I started working with really high-end directors like John Huston.
Sure.
Bill Hader. I'm linking, yeah. I said John Huston and I said Bill Hader.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Hader's going to be, he is a really fine director. He's a really top-notch director, and he's going to be big. He's going to be directing movies. And
he'll deserve it.
And deserve it. No, man, he's really great. And he's got the chops of a real director. And that you can't give somebody. That you got to be kind of born with.
Sure.
And that is, he just shuts up. He doesn't direct. Larry David doesn't direct. Woody Allen doesn't direct. When I say doesn't direct, what I mean by that is he doesn't direct actors. He may, again, be like an improv guy, like just give you generalizations.
Sure.
The things that you don't think help. I remember Bill Hader, when I was working with him on, Barry?
Mm-hmm.
And I was playing a hitman, and they asked me, they said, do you do a Russian accent? Because it was a Russian hitman.
Duh.
And I said, yeah, like you say everything. Yeah. Can you ride a horse? Yeah. Can you drive a tank? Yeah. Okay, don't worry. Can you run a dirigible? Sure. Yeah, I can do that. You say yes.
If it keeps the job, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, or if he even lets you get into the audition, So he said, yeah, can you do, but I didn't have to audition. That was like kind of cool. He said, can you do a Russian? I said, yeah. But he said, would you mind if we had a Russian dialect instructor there? No, I'd love it. No, thank you.
Sure, please.
Fine. So I went there, and I was the only job that I did a backstory for. I've never done a real backstory where you think, where this guy, how you build the character and stuff. I mean, because of my reverence for Bill Hader as a comedian, as a comic actor. He's one of the best. I mean, he's so funny, and he ad-libs, and he's a good director. So anyway, I did this, and I looked around when I showed up for this this Russian dialect teacher, and I couldn't find her or him. I didn't know who. They didn't say it was a her or him. I figured they would find me, so sure. I stopped looking. So I just sat there, and then somebody comes up to me and says, "You're on." What do you mean I'm on? Well, your scene is next. I got to just shut this off. I can't do this anymore. So I did the, I shut it. No, I was talking about Bill Hader. Yeah. So that's what dyslexia does. It doesn't focus. It just, sure. Boom. If I go here, it forgets that. All right, so Bill Hader. So I forgot about the dialectician, and they said, okay, you're on. So I just went on stage, and then Bill Hader didn't say anything. He just said, let's run it through once. So, you stand there and you stand there and you say this, blah, blah, blah. Or you sit there, you're brought, whatever, just to walk through to get the camera. Okay. And then he says, okay, and action. Without any instructions or anything about anything. He just, let me go. So, okay, I did it. And then he said, okay, and now we're doing coverage. First him, then me. Because the rehearsal, the first shot is generally just a master. Just
the wide view.
Coverage. Sure. The wide view. That's just to block it out. That's But he did a lot of coverage. So we were doing that scene over and over again for a couple of hours. And it's just it's a short scene, actually. And he never spoke to me once, man, never. And I'm doing this Russian accent. And the thing was that because I didn't know Russian or know how to do a Russian accent, what I was doing was the Russian Second City improv accent, which is just, da, da, yeah, it's just making it up.
That's
It's just,
done, yeah.
Yeah, it's just funny, it was, because you have to do it instantly, right? Or do a Russian, okay, blah, blah. So I didn't think, I'm doing this, improv Russian accent. And I'm doing a foreigner, I'm doing a Russian, and he's not talking to me at all. And I just got more and more worried, frankly. And then finally, I just got so tired, I started to forget my lines. I mean, we were, and that's not because of dyslexia. That's just because my mind is just bored.
Sure.
Just doing it over and over, 20, 30 times, different camera angles, but still, I'm saying the same words. You can't do that, So finally, he saw I was getting tired. So he said, okay, this is the last shot, boom, and that's it. Okay, and then I was released. So I said, blah, blah, blah. Thank you, Larry, he's released. They always clap for anything that's released, even a dog. Listen, the dog's released, thank you very much. Okay.
Catering table, taking it out of here.
Like the pool table is going.
Good, that's beautiful.
So I said, can I ask you, he said, and he came over, he said, hey, thank you very much, did a great job. So can I ask you a question? Yeah, sure, what? Listen, I'm just, you never spoke to me in this whole day. You never gave me any directions. And I was like freaking me out, man. It was really making me nervous. I mean, why didn't you give me any direction? I was kind of floundering out there. And he said, Larry, we wrote this part totally different. We didn't write it the way you're doing it. So you kind of came in with this, I didn't know what you were doing. So, but you were great. So I didn't want to touch you because I didn't know what to say. I had no idea where you were coming from. So as long as you were serving the script, you were telling the story, I believed who you were, so you were killing it. I wasn't going to get in there. So that was like a high compliment, but sure. Man, was it unnerving while you're doing it. And I've heard other actors speak about other directors doing the same thing, and they were just as confused.
Sure.
I even spoke to them in person.
I've had that happen where, I prefer a director who, like you said, is much more general, doesn't give you specifics, because I've had both kinds. I've had the person who tells you, say it like this, have your voice go up at the end of the sentence.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I've had
and that's horrible. Because now you're not acting. Now you're just memorizing.
Yeah, mimicking. It's
there's
worse.
no art to it anymore.
Right. There's no feeling behind it. You're just kind of, and it just blew me away. The first time I tried to do it, well, I'll tell you what it was. It was, I can't remember the name of it. It was like Running Scared. It wasn't Running Scared, though. It was...
I know which one you're talking about.
Oh, the money. It was something, the money. It was money in the title.
Yeah.
Take the money, or not take the money and run, but something like that. But the director, told me, do it, say it like this and like this and like that. And the more he kept on, after each take, he'd say, no, say it like this and like this. The more he said it, the worse I got.
Running Scared, was that the one?
No, it's money. Something money.
Money Talks.
Money Talks. That was it. The director tried to force feed me the exact, your words go up here and down here.
Yeah.
And if you watch the movie, in that scene, I was in several scenes, but this was one scene where it was a joke. I was saying something funny, and it wasn't funny the way I was saying it. And so he gave me the way to say it to make it funny. And then it was worse. It was really even funny. So if you watch that scene, I'm on the phone. I'll even tell you, for anybody listening, just, tell me if I'm not right. If I'm not right. I'm on the phone and I'm talking, and I'm calling for help or something. And it's a payphone on a wall down in the locker room. And I'm saying something, and it's supposed to be funny what I'm saying. And it's not at all. And what I'm saying is the words I'm being force-fed by the director. And every time I see that scene, well, I stopped watching it. But it unnerves me. It's and that's why the generation. Al Pacino said, he just thinks of a director as a safety net, that he likes to take chances and risks. So he's all over the place, improvisation, doing that. And he's brilliant. I mean, the guy's out of the way. But he said, so I use the director not to tell me what to do, but to save me in case I go too far out, go boom. And I just, I'm awful. He said, I'm not afraid of being awful.
Sure.
You got to take chances. So the director saves you. No, well, let's go in another direction. Okay, Al. All right, that's okay.
Huh. How was Eastwood? He didn't direct Alcatraz, did he?
Yes, he did. As a matter of fact.
Okay,
I'm the only person who knows that. Because here's the backstory on that is Don Siegel, who directed the movie, taught Clint Eastwood how to direct. Because they did a lot of movies together. And every movie, at one point, Clint Eastwood would either direct a little scene of it just to get, and Don would watch him and say, okay, well, you got to do this or blah, blah, blah. But in Escape from Alcatraz, Clint actually directed a scene without Don Siegel saying anything. But Don Siegel wouldn't not come in. Don Siegel was there. I'll tell you the scene that Clint Eastwood directed. Clint Eastwood directed the scene on Alcatraz where a doctor was examining a person. So it was a medical scene in the infirmary. It was just a doctor and a prisoner, and they were talking. And Clint Eastwood directed that scene, and the doctor was Don Siegel, the director.
Oh.
So he wouldn't leave. He wanted to know, because that was a big, in those days, that was a tentpole movie.
Oh, sure.
And the producers, Warner Brothers, I believe, was afraid of giving Clint Eastwood that much money. And that director, Don Siegel, directed a lot of big-time movies in black and white.
Sure.
But they didn't want to trust him with a tentpole movie and Clint Eastwood. So they were worried, and I hung around with Don Siegel. And I would talk to him about it, and he would tell me. He said, "Well," I said, "How's the movie doing?" I think we were in like the first week. I said, "How are you doing, man? I getting what you need." I was trying to be, talking the talk. And he said, "Well, I don't know yet because I haven't heard from the producers. So we maybe close down next week." I mean, he was exaggerating, but he was telling me that it's not up to him how this movie is going at the moment. It's up to the people who's signing the checks. So he's sending the rushes down there, and he hasn't got the feedback. But when the movie started, they were worried that he was directing and Clint Eastwood was a star, and they're giving him this much money. So he was telling this to me. And then 2 weeks later, he came up to me, and I said, "Well, what do you think?" And he said, "I'm not worried anymore. They gave me the don't worry about the budget letter." Yeah, that was really cool. So I kind of understood. So Clint Eastwood directing that scene, I don't think the producers would have liked that. So I think it was kept under wraps. But I was there and I watched him direct. And the difference of Clint Eastwood was he always came to work. I was there for 3 months. I was there from the first day to the last day on Alcatraz, watching every day. Never went into my Winnebago. Never went into my dressing room. Always on set.
Sure.
Because whatever was going on was important to me.
Oh,
I was either watching Don Siegel, I was watching Clint Eastwood.
Well, how do you walk away? I'm going to go get a bagel. Call me when you need me.
Yeah. Right. So Don, I asked. Well, he just wouldn't leave. That's why he was dressed as a doctor. But Clint Eastwood would come in every day, fully dressed in his convict uniform. So he wouldn't change clothes or come. He would just come in his convict uniform, and he'd stay in the uniform all day. Fine. So I didn't know what was going on, but one day Clint Eastwood, about halfway through the shoot, Clint Eastwood comes in his new nylon blue jogging outfit, satin, obviously cost him a lot of money, and new sneakers and a hat, little cap, with the, and a loop, what the directors look through to see about losing the light, down there. And he came in, and we were all kind of surprised. Never
Alcatraz really did better on their uniforms, I guess. This is the part in Alcatraz where they get a better budget.
Oh, yeah. So we didn't know why, I didn't know why he came in dressed like that. So we were all kind of in awe. There's 200 extras, as prisoners. We're all, wow, is that Clint? Wow, yeah. And then he goes over and he gets behind the camera, and then I see Don Siegel come in his white doctor's outfit with the the heart thing, where you listen around his neck, and he's got the whole thing, and his white coat, and the pencils in here, and he's talking to the prisoner, and Clint is telling the cameraman where to put the camera and stuff, and I go, holy cow, this is weird. And Clint is directing, and action, and cut and boom, and and then they would talk. Then the doctor and the jock, and the guy in the jogging outfit, they would talk. They would, nobody could hear him. And then go back, and then okay, we're moving on, and then Don Siegel, shook his hand. Nice work, very good directing, very good directing. Now let me take over. Get out of here.
Now go back in your uniform.
Yeah, get in your place and
Do your
shut up
job.
and remember your lines.
Well, it's funny because he always seems like he's very hands-on in multiple aspects.
Oh, totally.
Which is wonderful. I love, there's the guys who will say acting or music, for an example. All right, you're known for one thing. You go out, you do your spiel. But I admire the people who produce and direct and get more hands-on, such as yourself. Like you could just go to gig, but the fact that you're painting and you're writing and and thankfully it's funny. I remember our conversation from a year ago, and one of the things that stuck with me was you saying, there's some roles I've done that I don't even remember. Yeah. That's not a bad curse to have, that you're that busy that you're like, was I on Mad About You? I don't remember being on Mad About. All right, that was a day's work, or
No, since those days that where I spoke to you, I've done a lot of podcasts since then, and I don't think I had done even one podcast before.
Right? No, not at the time, because I remember you saying, a podcast, what is that? Oh, can I come on? I'm like, yes, sir, you can.
Oh, there you go. Well, I've done like hundreds since then because of the El Camino. Not because of me, but that's what started it.
Sure.
El Camino was a movie I was in, and they wanted me to do podcasts to sell the movie. And I was in the movie, so I learned about podcasts, and then the podcasters liked talking to me about other things too, and so they kept calling back, and I got it, blah blah blah. But yeah, the directing thing, I guess that's what we were talking about.
Well, yeah, we were talking about you being multifaceted and having so much work that you don't even remember all the gigs you've had.
But since I've done so many podcasts and they keep asking me about different roles I've played, that I've kind of filled in the gaps. Mm-hmm. I think I remember, strangely, I remember about 99% of the role. If you mention a role now, or a show, then I remember. There's only one or two that I still don't remember.
Do you remember what the
titles? Matlock. Somebody mentioned it the other day. They said I was on Matlock, and I don't. I remember being on Matlock, the name on Matlock, but I don't remember what I did. But when they said Matlock, a picture came into my mind of me laying dead on the floor as a cop who had been shot.
So you weren't a reoccurring character.
Another reoccurring character, dead on arrival. Yeah. So that, and I said that, I said, well, that might have been Matlock. In other words, I can't match up what I was doing with the show, but I don't remember being on Matlock, but I remember I probably did Matlock and I was laying dead on so that. But there was and two others I don't remember, and that's it. But of the 184 things I've done that are on IMDb, I remember 182, which is pretty good, actually.
Well, it's funny because, if I mention you, they'll go, oh, from Friends and Seinfeld. And I'm like, yeah, he was on there as iconic characters. But it's funny too, because in my house, I'm watching Joan of Arcadia with Mikey, and we see you.
Yeah.
Mikey goes, "Oh, there's Larry." Like, because he's met you, so it's like you're our neighbor next door. Where
yeah, I mean that's what was so funny, that he goes, "Oh, there's Larry,"
there's Larry.
like he knows me. And nobody has ever said that, because I'm that guy.
Right.
Oh, there's that guy again.
Yeah.
I'm known as that guy. Oh, you're that guy.
And it's wonderful because it's
to have somebody say, "Oh, there's Larry," not even Larry Hankin. Here's Larry. That's great. Tell him that's cool, man. He's my number one fan.
Well, I'll tell you.
No, he's not my fan. He's my number one friend.
Very
fans
good.
are something else.
That's right.
Larry is my friend. That's cool.
That's how he looks at you too, because I'll see you and go, "Oh, there's Larry and that," and I got to bug him about being on the podcast, because at first, a year ago, I didn't want to be a pest and like pounce on you the day after I met you. I thought, well, let's give it a little bit of time, and then finally we got to connect, and I figured, knowing how you work, you're always busy, so I'll just be patient and I'll wait. But in the meantime, like I said, we're watching Mad About You because, we love the show. Yeah. And, there's Larry as a security guard. And then Joan of Arcadia. And like I said, to have my son go, "Oh, Dad, Larry, right there."
Hey, but where do you see these? In other words, they're so not only old and obscure, well, where do you see that? How do you even see that?
With Joan of Arcadia, that was 2 seasons. So that was one of the shows that stick with you. With Mad About You, that's like one of our all-time favorite sitcoms, because it had the perfect balance of realistic conversation, funny moments, serious moments, all in a half hour or 24 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
And it really makes it above so many other sitcoms. So that's like a standard in our house. I have those on DVD. But other shows that stick with you, say Joan of Arcadia, I think, you know what? My son's at that age now where he would appreciate the complexities of, because I don't know if you remember the premise, but it's basically God shows up to this girl who's
as a homeless guy, or various things.
But he shows up as different forms, and kind of the lesson is, we make our own choices. God doesn't control us, but everything that we do matters. So if he tells Joan, get a job at a bookstore, well, that's going to help 3 people, in such a way. So I think I want my son to start seeing this, because it's a higher thought level of, anything. So you could look it up. I have a Fire Stick. Do you know about okay. Amazon Fire Stick. They have a thing now where if you have, as you do, Wi-Fi, a computer, this is a device that you plug into the side of your TV. And from that, it picks up your Wi-Fi. Well, you can access Netflix, Hulu, all these stations. But if you jailbreak it, which means open it up to other things, you can find essentially any show. So pick a show or a movie you were on, you may not own, but somebody somewhere uploaded it onto their server, and you just go click, click, click. I want to watch episode 5 of Joan of Arcadia. Boop. And then it uploads it and you watch it.
Even so say if I had an episode of Joan of Arcadia on my hard drive, on my exterior hard drive, you can access it?
Not that quick. You would have to load your version up to, I don't know, some site where
I see, an available site.
It's like a sharing site. And then what the Fire Stick does, it reaches out to anybody who's ever done that and goes, he titled this. Now, here's the problem. If you called it Joan of Arcadia episode 5 and it's episode 15, Well, you just uploaded 15 into 5 slot. You see what I mean?
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
that's a hassle for whoever I guess is doing that half of it. I just sit back and enjoy them. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, right. Cool.
But my point is, if there's something of yours that I feel like watching, I'll just go, let's see if somebody uploaded it. Click, click, click.
Cool.
And then, yeah.
Well, could you upload somebody's name and then it would be in it?
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Because it'll
Holy
search everybody
Oh,
for Larry Hankin.
Wow.
It's
This is
so
I'm
telling you.
far from,
Remember when TVs had 4 stations?
Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah, that's so far from the Dumont television.
Exactly. We're at, what is it, 2:00 in the morning? It turns off. You get the national anthem and then beep.
Or there's just a human being sitting there for color correction.
I remember that too.
Redheads were the key people because of their skin tones were perfect for tuning TV color.
Really?
And no other way of doing it except a redhead, a female, maybe a male, but it was generally a female or redhead. Their skin tones were the perfect tuning device, the perfect color.
Oh, that's
that was
cool.
So weird.
Because the red hair and the pasty skin, it gives you the contrast.
I guess. I don't know if it was the red hair. It was the skin tone. That was what they were keying on, of a redhead.
Yeah.
A female redhead. To what you were saying. You just put in a name and it goes all, and it's all over the world now. So it's.
And I'll tell you, to get one of those Amazon Fire Sticks, they're like $20-$30.
Really?
It's cheap as can be. I couldn't believe it.
Holy
I had
cow.
to be.
Where do you get it?
Go to Best Buy.
Really?
I walk into Best Buy. I said, "Do you have one of those?" And they point to the wall, and there's a whole wall of them.
Wow, Fire Sticks.
And they're just a little, like a little rectangle that plugs. If you have a newer TV, it's basically you're plugging it into the.
I don't know if I have a newer TV. Mine is about 10, 15 years old.
Well, if you have to look on the side or the back, if it has the USB port.
I think so.
Okay. That's what it plugs into.
Oh, well, that I might have. Yeah.
So you might be
I'll
good.
Check it out.
That'll be another thing. I'll send you a link to that just so you know what you'd be looking for. And I'll tell you, it's like the best $20-$30 I've ever spent.
Yeah.
Because you get to watch anything.
Yeah, but just as a research tool, as an actor or
definitely.
a writer, just watching a movie that's so obscure, just click
The only
on
thing is it can be temperamental because it's still a newer kind of technology. So some days I go and it'll go, yeah, you don't have access right now. I'm like, oh.
Okay, well, fine,
But again, it's worth it, even for one time. And if you do get it and you need any assistance or my 2 cents, just let me know and I can help with that.
Oh, all right, fine.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
First of all, I love talking to you.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wrap it up.
That's what I was about to say. As much as I love talking to you, let me wrap it up. Obviously, you're welcome back anytime. When the book comes out,
okay,
let me know and we'll do some promo for it.
Cool. Can I do a promo right now just for my website? Of course you could.
Definitely.
Well, it's called thereallarryhankin.com, and because somebody stole larryhankin.com, they're trying to hold me up for money. So
wow.
I just forget it.
Sure.
So it doesn't work. So thereallarryhankin.com, and you go on it, and there's my paintings there are my prints there, and then my T-shirts there. Somebody made a suggestion. I thought it was really great. All my paintings, which is about 44 of my paintings, but I translated 24 of them into T-shirts. So there's really nice, either $13 or $20, something like that, for T-shirts and my movies, my film shorts, my bio, just everything about Larry Hankin. So it's thereallarryhankin.com.
Wonderful.
Check it out.
And I'll make sure to put the link to that in our show notes.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And, feel free to post stuff on Facebook, share it to the Never Gets Old podcast page.
Thank you.
Because that's what this is all about. This is about not only just great conversation, but if I can help promote you and the good that you do.
Okay, I'm gonna write that.
Yeah, write that down so that, and there's never a no Just anytime you want to post anything.
Okay, so tell me the official title, so I don't get
The
it.
Never Gets Old podcast.
The Never Gets.
Yeah, which is also, write this one down, the Forever Adventure Network. We also have a page on that.
Okay, the Forever
Adventure
Network. Cool.
And we, like I said, we have
.com?
Facebook.
.com?
There is a .com, but you could also share it on the Facebook pages.
Oh, I see. Okay, cool.
You know, because I do have a site that's the Forever Adventure, which kind of collects all the things that I do. Because I have, you know, my music, 2 podcasts. I have an audio series I write and perform in.
Wow.
But this way, it's all under one roof.
There you go.
You know,
Okay.
just much like yourself, many irons in the fire.
Yeah. Something will hit. Is there anything else? Yeah, the book is coming out. I'll probably have I'm going to also have what do you call it? Like a DVD or whatever, streaming of all my films, my film shorts, not my films.
Yeah.
But my film shorts, you know. So so look for that. That'll be up on my website too. So
beautiful. And I'm so glad that you're on Facebook, because not everybody is.
Yeah, I'm trying to switch over eventually. I just opened the website, but eventually I want to just have everybody going onto my website. But I'll still stay on Facebook.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's a lot of misinformation on Facebook, but I don't deal in that now.
No.
I just deal with stuff that has to do with me in the world.
And I figure if it comes straight from the source, then they know it's good.
Yeah. So,
Well,
okay, I got to leave now.
Me too. I have other things to do, Larry. Stop holding me up.
Cool. Hey, I'm really sorry for hanging it up.
I'll forgive you. Mikey, my son, also, you know, your number one friend. He forgives you too.
Say hello to him for me. Okay?
I will, buddy. And thanks again. I'll keep in touch.
Okay. Take it easy, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye, man.
The Never Gets Old podcast is part of the Forever Adventure Network. Music by Harmony Constant. Some artwork by Joseph Arnold and Jared Brown. Donations can be made to Patreon to Mac Jackson. Join our group pages on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at NeverGetsOldPod. Please subscribe, rate, and review. And remember, stay excited, everyone. The Forever Adventure Network. Welcome to the adventure. Hi, everybody. It's Mac Jackson. I wanted to invite you to a new site called the Forever Adventure Network. This website has everything. Pictures, videos, blogs. There's original music by Harmony Constant. 2 podcasts. One is the MacGyver podcast, where we celebrate Richard Dean Anderson, his iconic roles, and how it's influenced our lives. There's episode discussions, interviews, and life conversations. The second podcast is the Never Gets Old podcast, where we celebrate all the best things that we love in life, from TV, movies, music, and comics. The site is also the home for the MacGyver SG-1 audio series, an ongoing adventure series that continues the adventures of MacGyver and SG-1. There are also multiple stores to choose from for all of your pop culture and adventure needs. Come on by and check us out today. And thanks for joining the adventure.